in their brand and in their system.
Have you, I mean, I know you deal with a lot of, you see a lot of things in the franchise world and you have direct experience. Have you actually seen this kind of breakdown in communications and what happened?
Well, it's very challenging when that happens, and every franchisor will try and ensure that they select people that they believe understand their brand and are passionate about their brand and wish to spend 5 years. Most franchise contracts are for 5 years, so you're entering into a 5-year relationship, and both parties have to agree that working together is a good idea. Unfortunately, whenever recruitment or selection is made into working partnerships, no one ever gets it right all of the time on either side. So when there is miscommunication and breakdown, most franchisors will try and help their struggling franchisees to find a suitable replacement. So happy in, happy out is normally the best way to do things. However, there are unfortunate times where breakdown of communications or poor service provision means that the franchisor has to step in and what you would call disenfranchise that person, and but that would be a last resort because that would be catastrophic. On a number of levels, the brand reputation would suffer, as well as the local franchisee in terms of their own finances. So that would be a very last resort.
That seems to be an incredibly challenging thing to do. I mean, we've been discussing generally for the last 2 or 3 years, and especially Alex, who co-hosts this. This is a field in many ways, and we'll be discussing the importance of communication and how difficult it is to actually get right. And what you're describing here is that communication basically is key, not just in resolving the problem, but in the problem not happening in the first place through perhaps better selection or better fits between franchisor and franchisee. Within that, how difficult is it really to find the right kind of franchise, when you start looking through it? And how would you go about it? Do you go online? Do you go to a trade show? Where do you begin?
Well, and you're talking about somebody considering investing in an existing franchise.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that one of the benefits of franchising, which is on the flip side is a detriment, is there is much choice. So if you go onto the internet, obviously most people go onto Google first, and they'll make general searches around going into business for yourself, starting a franchise business, and they'll find a number of different websites, such as our own, which is called selectyourfranchise.com, and on there you can read expert articles, get information about how to sort out business plans, as well as researching franchise opportunities themselves. But then obviously the benefit of finding a lot of opportunity means that you have the problem of filtering it down to just one, because you can only invest in one thing. So normally it's a very difficult, challenging time for people considering their futures. I look back at my own experience of deciding to resign from my job, saying to my wife, will you back me in this? And it took her a long time to agree to do that. And all of the fear of going into giving up a regular salary and going into investments. So research online is very important. Going to trade shows is useful.
I was going to say, can I ask, is there such thing as an average cost for a franchise somebody should be aiming for? So, if you're going to take the leap, what should you be looking at, ballpark figure?
I think that you can invest in a franchise for anything from the amount of money you could borrow on a credit card up to £1 million or $2 million.
So it's a very wide range.
So I think it's very important for you to think, what am I passionate about? What can I afford? Will my family back me? There's some very practical questions that need to be answered first before you actually start going into the due diligence of selecting which franchise business is right for you.
Okay, that's really fascinating. Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a great question from Cheryl Deuce to build on this topic because she asks, what are some questions to ask or red flags to look for to see if you can have a beneficial franchise relationship? And I think that question can be both for the original, the franchise that's considering you, but it's also for the person that is considering to become a franchise owner.
Okay, well, Cheryl, that's a really great question, and I think that the questions that you need to ask are around your future. That you are going to be considering investing a lot of money and a number of years of your life into following this system and working with this franchisor and their team. So I'd be saying to them, look, um, how do you support your franchisees? What training do you give? Be clear about what skills that you have and be very honest about the weaknesses that you have as well, because you're going to need to draw on the strengths of the overall franchise team. One of the benefits of a franchise is if you go into business on your own, nobody is a skilled bookkeeper, an accountant, and a marketer, and a salesperson, and an administrator, and as well as actually delivering the actual service. So what support are you going to receive from the franchisor in order to enable you to deliver and grow a successful business?
Perfect. That's really good. And I think that's a great question actually, because it's a kind of thing that, most people begin to sort of think about the moment they start considering a franchise. Okay, Nick,
That's actually,
tell us.
can I just one more time, Dave?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
it's actually great that that Nick mentioned support because if we go back to the live poll that we're doing, remember everybody out there, we're doing a live poll on what would convince you to buy a franchise the most. It looks like previously it was 13%. It looks like it's gone up to 15%. Say the know-how and support you get. So it looks like you're changing some minds out there, Nick.
Nick, you're
Great.
convincing them. And this is the beauty of the basic of having an interactive and live environment essentially, because you can get answers to questions and get questions answered very quickly by somebody who knows the subject in depth. So essentially you begin
Yes.
to make better informed decisions as we go through. And anybody who hasn't tried our poll, please do so. I think Alex will put the link on the stream, on the event stream, if she hasn't already, and you can just go there and check it out. Okay, so
Mm.
with that, Nick, let's talk about social media. Essentially, franchises. I started out my description of this that franchises seem